fastest you've seen someone regret kicking out their roommate. My best friend cornered me in the kitchen one morning with that wild look in her eyes and said, "I've been thinking about my daughter's education, and I need you to quit your job and homeschool her full time, or you need to move out so I can find someone who will." My coffee mug stopped halfway to my mouth because there was no way she'd just asked me to give up my career to teach her perfectly normal 5-year-old who could literally walk to the kindergarten 2 blocks away. "You want me to quit my $60,000 a year job to teach your daughter the alphabet for free?" She crossed her arms and tilted her head like I was the one being unreasonable here. "This is about her future, and if you actually cared about us, you wouldn't even question it." The kitchen went silent except for the coffee maker gurgling, and I watched her face waiting for her to laugh and say she was joking, but she just stood there with her arms crossed and her jaw set. "I'll be out by the end of the week." What my best friend had apparently forgotten in her grand educational planning was that the beautiful 3-bedroom house we'd been living in for 3 years was actually in my name. I'd inherited it from my grandmother and had been letting her live there rent-free since her divorce because watching her struggle with a toddler while her ex disappeared to another state had broken my heart. My studio apartment downtown was cramped and smelled like the Thai restaurant downstairs, but at least nobody was demanding I throw away my career to provide free childcare. The rental agreement I sent her was more than fair at $1,200 a month for a house that could easily get $2,200, but when she called me, her voice hit notes I didn't know humans could reach. "You can't charge me rent for a house I've been living in for 3 years." Her breathing was so heavy I could hear it through the phone. "Actually, I can because it's my house and I'm not living there anymore, so either pay rent or find somewhere else to homeschool your daughter." She scraped together the first month's rent by canceling everything that made her feel like a good mother, including dance classes and swimming lessons, and that overpriced organic meal delivery she'd sworn would turn her daughter into a genius. Her first attempt at homeschooling lasted exactly 27 minutes before her daughter got bored and decided to see what would happen if she flushed an entire roll of paper towels while her mother was trying to understand the curriculum she'd bought. The plumber who came to snake the pipes looked at the mess and looked at my friend and said, "Lady, this is going to cost you $800 and you might want to childproof your bathroom." The second week she called me crying so hard I could barely understand her words. She put crayons in the garbage disposal because she wanted to make rainbow water, and now it won't turn on and there's blue wax everywhere and the sink is backing up. I could hear her daughter in the background singing about her rainbow experiment while my friend's voice cracked. Her work calls started bleeding into her teaching time, and her daughter spent most days watching the same cartoon about science experiments over and over until she memorized it and started recreating what she saw. The washing machine died the day her daughter decided to make an indoor bubble party by stuffing it with dress-up clothes and an entire bottle of dish soap, and my friend made it worse by disconnecting the wrong hose and flooding the laundry room. "Why is there water everywhere, Mommy?" Her daughter splashed through the inch of suds covering the floor, while my friend stood there with the hose in her hand, watching her security deposit disappear. Month 2 brought the complete collapse when she decided to prove her homeschooling worked by hosting an educational showcase for 30 people, including other homeschool parents she'd found online. She spent her last $500 on fancy organic refreshments and printed colorful banners about child-led learning, but hadn't actually taught her daughter anything that week because work had been brutal, and she'd spent most days muted on video calls while crying into coffee cups. The doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock, and she opened it wearing her best dress to find the first guest staring past her at the living room. Her daughter had dragged mud from the backyard across my grandmother's hardwood floors and was mixing it with ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise in my good mixing bowls. "Welcome to my restaurant where I make special food because Mommy cries at the computer all day and forgets to make lunch, so I learned to cook with dirt and ketchup." The child handed a prestigious homeschool blogger a paper plate full of mud decorated with toothpaste swirls, while the woman's face went through every possible expression before settling on horror. The other parents started backing toward the door while her daughter ran after them with more mud pancakes yelling about her secret ingredients, and within 10 minutes everyone had left and my friend was standing alone in her muddy living room. Her voice was completely flat when she called that night. "Please come back and I'll send her to kindergarten tomorrow because I can't do this and everything is destroyed and I haven't slept in weeks." The silence stretched between us while I listened to her breathing and her daughter singing in the background about going to real school. "So you need me to live there and pay all the house expenses while you figure out how to be a parent?" She made a sound that was half laugh and half sob. "I need my best friend back. I moved back in because it was my house and I loved that damn kid, but not before my friend signed papers stating she was paying for all the damages."